You know, parents are the same, no matter the time or place. They don't understand that us kids are here to make some mistakes and the truth shout. Oh, wow. Wow. We can tell I don't know the fucking song.
Oh my fucking
I
God.
tried. I tried.
told her
As
not
you
to
can
do
see,
it.
I'm Fresh Prince Dizzle. And shout out to Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff for dropping the bars about how parents don't understand. But welcome back. It's me, your favorite auntie, Jazzy Dizzle, and my lovely co-host,
Maisha, and this is the How
You Doing Podcast. And check us out. We have back-to-back guests. Can you believe it? She needs no introduction. She's actually our first guest, so it's a full circle moment. She was our first guest before we got all bad and bougie and became visual. She was our first guest when we were just audio only. My good friend, Chris. Welcome back to the pod, friend.
Hello, ladies. So excited to be here.
Well, friend, how are you doing? And if people haven't caught up with your episode, if you haven't, she was on talking about grief, especially during the holidays. That episode is still available
Yes.
on all platforms at Apple and Spotify for your listening ear. But if they don't know you, mind giving us a brief intro and dropping your socials.
Okay, would love to. So I am Kristin Justice. I am a licensed associate counselor, mental health psychotherapist. I work with children, adults, and families, specializing in anxiety, depression, life transitions, grief, loss, and any other services where you're struggling with mental health life stressors. I also formerly was an adjunct professor teaching career counseling. And yeah, I'm a good friend of Sade. We've been friends for a long time. I had the pleasure of meeting Maisha, and I am feeling great. I'm excited to be here.
I love
Happy
that.
to have
Do y'all hear about the alphabet soup? I just want y'all to know. We batting
Don't play
10 out of
with
10. Any friend we bring up here, they like, I do this, and your mama. Anyway, how you doing, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
I'm feeling
Pink Panther,
good.
you got a little blonde. You feeling yourself?
I'm feeling myself.
Oh,
Feeling myself. Yes.
okay.
Last night, Sade had a little Galentine's, and when you listen to this, don't worry about it. But you really are the hostess with the most.
And it is.
I
do
mean,
what I
you
can.
do this shit in real life.
I do it. I try to do what I can.
And what I really do love is that you can bring a group of people, and tell me if this is right.
Mhm.
Like, bring a group of people together, and it's just love because you know how to vet people. You know how to like, oh, this person ain't gonna fit in this group. But everybody knows how to behave around
Yeah.
you, and I think that's something about you. So I'm feeling good. I didn't really drink last night, which is great.
Huh?
Um,
What part of you is that?
We was at the same one.
huh?
Right, because we recall something different.
I
Maybe
didn't really drink.
It was you drank, and you drank plenty. It was just higher quality alcohol, so you didn't
Right.
feel like you drank.
Oh, I felt good today.
You know how I feel, y'all? I feel kind of tired because
I didn't even say no. Let me ask you, how are you feeling?
Let me
Do
tell-
not fabricate.
Oh.
I'm feeling very tired because, as Maisha said, I had a party. And because Chris so wonderfully drove down to attend the party, I gave her the guest room. So you know who was stuck in the bed with me? Little Miss Pink Panther. And she is just like her child. They don't want to go to sleep. They want to talk. They want to wake up in the morning, chatting and chatting. So I didn't get much rest. But we had a wonderful time. It was great to celebrate with all my friends. We haven't seen each other in a while. And even though hosting is very expensive and tiring, I love to be able to curate vibes to just bring all the special people in my life together. So I'm feeling very good today as well.
It was a
But
good time.
without further ado, we love a little icebreaker. We love a little fun. We love a little game. So this icebreaker, since today we're talking about how parents may not understand their children in that role,
Mhm.
we're going to do finish that black mama saying. All right, friend? So
Yes.
I brought you in this world. I can.
Take you out.
I'm not one of your.
Little friends.
You better fix your before I.
Fix it for
There
you.
you go. You better fix your what though?
Attitude. Face.
Yeah, but all
Both.
of the
Yeah.
above.
Both. A,
Go
B, C,
ahead.
D.
Don't be running in and out.
My house. Close that door behind you. You letting all the good air out.
So wait a second. My great grandmother used to say you can't heat the street. Now that's crazy. That's crazy. She's real old school though. And then a hard hit makes a soft
Ass.
every time. Keep crying and I'm gonna give you something.
To cry about. But I'm already crying though, cause what?
Why are you whooping me and then saying keep crying? Duh, it's abuse. And my mom still say hard head make a soft ass. Clearly, my head is hard as a rock and my ass is soft as a pillow because I keep
it's
talking
not.
shit.
That
Yeah,
thing
It is.
hard.
It is firm.
So, one thing I do like to say too is I get a chance to rub every chance I get, and I'm grateful for these free rubs. And it is really muscular,
It's
friend.
firm.
I love it.
I'll be
You doing what you got to
I'll
do.
be
Them
squeezing that
squats.
ass. You gotta squeeze. So girl code is back because I fucked up last time because I wasn't prepared. Because life be life and we're all human.
We gonna
But
do.
this week I did my due diligence
Yes.
and I saved the video. So
Okay.
we only have one,
That's
and
good.
this is what it says. Oh, well,
Despite the ways they continue to turn
we're
their
gonna
back
start
on
over.
you, I'm sure you've heard. When you have toxic parents or a toxic family, despite the ways they continue to turn their back on you, I'm sure you've heard it's not right for you to turn your back on them. We may only get one set of biological family, but that doesn't mean that that family is healthy or good for us. We know the saying, honor thy mother and thy father, but for some, that honor is found in distance. Sometimes it's more honorable to walk away. This is an honor that those who are not mature won't understand because this honor says, by staying in connection with family that's harmful and unhealthy for me, even if it's silently, I harbor and direct nothing but anger, fury, resentment, frustration, maybe even hatred towards them. And those type of feelings directed at anyone are not honorable at all. But at a distance, those highly charged feelings have a chance to quiet, and I can deal with them and heal them without additional injury from a family that's harmful to begin with. The goal is getting to the place where one day, even if it's still at a distance, I hold and direct feelings of understanding.
Love
What
it.
do you think, friend?
Okay. Well, that is a really hot topic that I don't know if you guys have been following social media. My godmother Oprah, I'm sure y'all know her. I think she worked in Sade's not a fan of Godmother Oprah. I don't know why. But she's been hosting a series about
Oprah be
cutting off
bumping cat.
family.
Anyway, go ahead.
That's her personal
Her and
business,
Gail bump
friend.
cat. Go ahead, finish.
But we're talking, a lot of people are going through that as family estrangement, cutting off, and finding the time to and how, and feeling a range of things. Sometimes resentment, guilt, grief about cutting off. But as she spoke about, where there is trauma, where you feel like that anytime you're around family members and it's wrecking your nervous system, it's bringing about emotions where you leave and you feel like you're carrying on the weight, there may be times where you have to create distance, where distance becomes healthy. Distance doesn't always look like it's permanency. It could be until you get to a place where you're able to resolve some of those issues that come up. Your parents and your family members are not going to assume your emotions and feelings. That's your personal experience to have to deal with. So if you are struggling to deal with that in family group settings, it is best to separate yourself so that you don't feel like the problem every time.
Yeah, I've never had to really like experience it to that extent, but I do. I'm a big proponent. Like, even if your family dynamic relationships are not healthy, then you should create that distance because you have to be the best version of yourself. And sometimes the people closest to you disrupt your nervous system the most. And I think that you deserve an opportunity. So I think it is good to create distance.
Let me say, so I grew up pretty much in a predominantly white neighborhood. For me, it wasn't uncommon for people to say, "Oh, yeah, I don't talk to my mom.
Yeah.
I don't talk
Oh,
to my
they
dad. I don't
quick.
talk to
Them
my
white
sister." And
people
I'm
don't
like,
play. I
"This
could
isn't
never.
normal here." But then, as I gotten older and I see different experiences and I see traumas, generational trauma, I'm like, okay, I see more and more of us doing that too. Where it's like, yeah, I found family, but in community, I found
Mm-hmm.
family outside of this
Mm-hmm.
because I could no longer be a part of
That.
a part of that. Even though that's my biological family, I didn't identify, though they didn't, foster the best for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand it a little bit better now. But they've been on that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
they
And it's
definitely
not easy to do because you don't want to seem like the person that's, as in the black community, we would talk to, we always got to have each other's back. You got to look out for one
Right.
another.
Right.
So when you decide to distance yourself, you could be targeted as, well, what's your problem? You're the
Mhm.
issue. It's not us. This is how we are. Well, how we are
Right.
is not okay with where I'm going and how I want to be.
Yeah, I think it's generational too, because my mom will say that a lot. Like, if some of her family doesn't want to talk to their mom, she's like, "That's your mother," and I'm like, "You're a great mother," but there's a lot of people that don't have great mothers,
Absolutely.
and sometimes you do not have to subject yourself to the traumas, especially if you have a parent who doesn't want to hold themselves accountable for the trauma that they brought upon you.
Yeah.
Now, if you can say like, "Hey, I messed up," then okay, but if you're like you tripping or like you said, then it's better to keep distance. But
And it is hard for some people to do that, right? To say, hey, I fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm going to accept accountability for this. I know I wasn't there for you in the way that I needed to be there for you, but how can we
Mm,
figure this out? It's hard for people to
yeah,
do that. And it's just like, get over it.
yeah. And
I'm here now.
and
Yeah.
people don't do that.
Yeah.
No.
I will say when you are choosing to take space and create distance, and a part of the series, one of the great therapists that's on the series, Oprah's have, her name is Nedra Tawwab, and there's a few family therapists talk about communicating why. A lot of times, if you're abruptly just not answering phone calls and all of that, it will create more. Sometimes you have to do it as necessary,
Okay.
but it's best to communicate. I'm taking space because this.
Mm.
I understand that you're not ready to make the changes that are going to be helpful for me to be around. So I have to change and make the changes for myself. So when you can communicate that you're going to take space and take distance, but there are times where family has to get blocked too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get
Now,
it.
can you please tell me, we were having a little conversation yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and I love how you said the importance of boundaries and
Yeah.
that fence analogy. Could you please explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we talk, it's a lot going on in social media again about mindfulness and therapy and how we interpret and view boundaries. So a lot of times, like, well, I put up my boundary and they can't disrespect. Boundaries are not for the other person. Boundaries are for you.
Right.
Think of the analogy that I gave to Maisha and I share often with my clients when we're talking about boundaries is why do you put up a fence? Who's the fence to protect? The
Your
people
house.
on the outside or the inside the house? You are your house. Your heart space is your house. So when you're setting up boundaries, you have to set up precautions that keep you in check. Those are the limits of you. Other people don't have to respect your boundaries,
Right.
but you do. You have to make sure you're locking the house up at night. You have to make sure you're not allowing trash from the outside to come in the inside.
Mm-hmm.
You set those boundaries. You protect the house. The boundaries are to keep you in line. If I say that I'm not supposed to talk, I don't want to talk to this person and all of this, that's for you to protect.
Mm-hmm.
The other person doesn't have to. But as long as you're protecting your boundaries, what they do outside of the
Has
fence is
nothing to
none
do
of
with
your
it.
business.
I love
Right.
that. That's a
Right.
great analogy, and I think it'll be very helpful. Um, so our topic today, of course, you heard me fake rapping the song that I really didn't know, but hey, it is what it is. We're going to be talking about parenting and how that help shifts the development of your children and those relationships. Our first segment is do as I say, not as I do, and we know we've all heard that, especially from Black parents. So, friend, do you believe that statement, do as I say, not as I do, which again we've all heard, can be detrimental to your children as they get older?
Yeah, do as I say is not as I do. It's actually against the psychology of how children learn. Children learn in the early stages of development through modeling and observation, through mirroring. They are not at the cognitive level to totally understand what you're saying to them, especially if you're talking to them in terms of including your stress a part of their day. They're watching you. They're learning about how you handle your stress. They're learning about how you handle your day. They're learning about how you, when you brush your teeth, how you cook. They're learning by observation and by modeling. So do as I say goes against how they even understand. When they're in school, they're watching demonstrations about how to color, how to learn their words. It's not so much around the verbal linguistics. And so do as I say, not as I do is against the psychology of how they're learning, but you're getting frustrated because I told you. You told them one thing, but you're also doing another.
Mm-hmm.
You're also not being consistent with what you told them. Go clean your room after this. If you don't have structure and discipline and consistency, those kids are confused and you're getting upset because they're confused, but you're also confused because you're not running a strict program
Right.
around here,
Right.
but you want them to follow strict rules. Be consistent. Be careful about not just what you're saying to them, what you're showing to them.
Mm.
How you're even showing up in other spaces with friends and other kids and other people come around. They're modeling, they're observing, they're watching.
Yeah.
I love that too. And I
Powerful.
think I agree. I agree because a lot of times we're watching our parents,
Mm-hmm.
their patterns and
Yeah.
what they do. And I feel like even as a kid, I was more so engaged exactly with more of what they did than what they said. Now, I think their words resonate more because I have my own foundation, but I think as a child you're like you said, you're doing this, but then you tell me don't do it. And
Right.
then it's
Mm-hmm.
like, well, how come it's okay for you to do it? And then I'm confused. And then I'm more curious because I'm like, you could do it.
Yeah, I think the older you get, that changes, right? But what
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about on that cognitive level when they're younger,
When they're younger, yep.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
However, I remember my dad would always tell us the worst thing you could do is do drugs. Like that's, I mean, I've seen it, mess up my family.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he says his family, he means like his cousins and everything. Like it was a big thing. And he's like, if you ever want to break my heart, you guys will do drugs. Like that's what he always said to his kids. And honestly, I will say,
Yeah, we all did it.
we did great. you know, we didn't want to do that because that resonated for us. And he showed us, like, hey, you can take this turn and this is how it'll end. So I think for us, those words were powerful at that age. So it depends on the age group.
Yeah. But think about what you're sharing too. What was the part that stood out about your dad saying don't do drugs? Because what?
Because of the effect it had
On him.
Yes, yes.
So even when we're engaging with children,
Sure.
I tell my client kids and the parents, let them know about when, and I tell the little kids, like, you're coming home, you're having a tantrum. You think, that hurts mommy's feelings.
Yeah.
When you're yelling at her, when you're talking to her like that.
Yeah.
You have to humanize your experience of like how your kid yelling at you affects you. Let them know that really hurts mommy's feelings. Make it real for them. That also lets them know you're not a robot. We have to show kids too that their emotions have space and they have to occupy space, but you have to show them that you have them.
Yeah.
Show them that you're affected by them. So that resonates with you guys because you don't want to break your father's heart.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
That's why it's like, ooh, if this A means C, then I can't do that. And
Right.
I got to figure out what B is so we don't go there.
Right.
That's absolutely true.
And that stuck with us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you believe parents play different roles in a child's life, like a mother's role versus a father's role?
I believe they can. There's research that shows that what children are looking for from the parents can differ. So a lot of times when we look at not just early development, but in adolescence as well, is research is showing that children often look for their mother to show them how to feel and how to navigate life, but they look for their father to tell them what to do.
Oh.
Their father is the task person.
100%.
He's showing me how to do the things, how to put the toys together, how to navigate. Mom showed me how to feel about it. How do I respond? So think about a child in a playground and they fall and hurt themselves. They probably go to their mom to say, can I do the crying, and go to dad to say, how can I climb back on the slide?
Yeah.
So what the role of the parents are both are for socialization, understanding their self, understanding the world around them, and then how they show up in the household.
Yeah.
But children often lean and look for their parents for different things in terms of the how to do, the what to do, how to feel, when to feel. But both roles are essential. And there's sometimes complexities where there's single parent homes, where there's only a mother and only a father. And so the parents become overwhelmed because they have to do both.
Right.
And so in those capacities, what that looks like is you could have a parent that's burnt out and overwhelmed because they can't do both of the kids relying on for both to do. Or in blended families as well, having clarity around what you saw to do in your household, who assumed what roles, and then having to navigate those spaces too. So getting clear about who can go and do both. You do want a household where you can go to your parents for both. How I feel, I can get from mom and dad. But that doesn't always work that way. And a lot of that comes from our own upbringings, our own attachment styles, and things like that.
Do you feel like people, I guess now that we're adults and we see people, like I know I've spoke on the pod about men who have mommy issues, so they didn't get that how to feel or that empathy and that love. And so here they are, adult men who don't know how to communicate how they feel or even know how to sit in their emotions. Or women, that you experience, they don't have their dad, they don't have that strength or that leader. And so now they're in the world just making decisions that may not be, the best decisions because they are seeking that validation from the opposite sex. So you, like when you speak of like single parent holds or maybe people who have that void, how does that shape the children?
Yeah. No, that's a good point. And pointing out the mother wounds, because mother wounds show up in mother-daughter dynamics and mother-son dynamics. A lot of times what we see in the mother-son dynamics where there's a high level of emotionality that the sons have in adulthood that is often displaced because it wasn't nurtured properly. A lot of times sons where they were raised in a single home, they had to learn to kind of cater to some of the emotional needs of the mother. So then that creates capacity of I have to figure out how to soothe, but I really don't know how to soothe my own because if I was tending to my mother's needs and being the man for her and all those other roles, especially if I was an older son or younger son or whatever that looked like, not really having an understanding of your own emotional capacity, then that becomes displaced when you can get in relationships and romantic relations or other interpersonal relationships. Particularly too if you didn't have a man who showed you how to cultivate those spaces of your emotions, but also showing up in the masculine parts of you of how you can also be soft, but also know how to take care of yourself and the household. So there's some confusion and role confusion a lot of times where we have mother, son, mother room dynamics of what their roles are.
I'm sorry. And then you said what heard what you said about the son,
Mm-hmm.
but with the women,
Mm-hmm.
the daughters, how does that usually present?
So the mother wounds with the daughters, a lot of times what it ends up looking like is parentification. And what we see is enmeshment a lot of times with the mother wounds, where the daughter ends up being raised sometimes, depending on the age, like a sister versus a mother daughter. And as you age, if you were raising your daughter sometimes as like a sister in the same level as you, is that she has to hold the stress with you. And especially if the dynamic with the father, the whether the presence is there, it becomes having to carry my mama's trauma while I'm trying to grow up.
Mm.
And what does that look like?
Oh.
So then when you become older and you become an adult, there's a little bit of resentment of feeling neglected and abandoned, because emotionally, my mama raised me like I was her sister. I was her girlfriend. I was her homegirl. When he got on her nerves and that person, I had to hear it and receive it and hold it. So then when I got older, I'm also holding hers, but she can't make space for mine.
You see that a lot too. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you just saying that, I was just like, damn, that's
It is a lot.
true.
It's
But this is also why we can't really be our mama's little friends. Because as you I often say, when you get older, you can create a friendship with your mother, but there needs to be a distinction of roles, not just for respect but for understanding and capacity. Your child shouldn't actually know what it's like to be 50 and stressing, or 35 and having to deal with this man and that man, or friendship trauma. That's not what they're responsible. They're not responsible for taking care of you.
Yeah.
And the whole I brought you in this world, take you out. That's right. I didn't choose to be here. So because you brought me in this world, you chose the responsibility of guiding me,
Right.
but not to live alongside you.
Yes.
That creates enmeshment and role confusion. So then later in life, then you also find some women that when they get in relationships, even friendships, they take on, and there's a little control thing because they were parentified. They took on responsibilities like a parent, like another adult when they were 7.
Yes. I feel that. And not even like a parent role, but definitely um I don't even say if I had to grow up quicker than I had to, but I just felt
Like
like
matured.
I had to be a little bit more mature.
Mhm.
And I've also had those conversations with my mom too, like even in, the dynamic of, our family sometimes, or, my parents. I will be like, I get it that we're close, but I'm also not your friend when it comes to conversations about my father. Because at the end of the day, that's my father. So there's certain things, you can call your friend and be like, this nigga ain't shit, but you can't say that to your child
That's the
because
biggest
that's still my dad.
Right, because that's shaping an idea of just may not for how you view your dad, but that is placing seeds for how you view men
Right.
in the future.
And it definitely does that. And that's why I'm glad you touched on like the roles in the house, because sometimes I feel like if the roles are different, because I feel like in my house sometimes the roles were different, and I think it definitely plays a part in you as a woman, because I tell my mom that even now, like, because we have that relationship that even me and my sister as our woman, we feel very masculated, I guess, if you feel like. So sometimes it's very hard for us to let someone lead, even if they have the opportunity, just because of the dynamic of what we've seen as children and that role.
Correct.
So, like you said, sometimes you go to the dad for the task or things like that. But if in your home, maybe the mom was the task person. So now you feel like I'm a woman, I'm the task person, I'm getting shit done. I don't need you to do nothing. But then it's kind of like, that doesn't work in a companionship, because everyone wants to be needed, especially a man, especially if he creates that safe space. So then you're into this complicated space of like, what is my role? But it, like you said, it all starts from your upbringing, which is why parenting is such a very important job.
Now, I have to pivot a little bit. Do you think it's a time where, like, I think about my kids right now and how, they had a dual parent, dual parent household and income. That was nice. Um, household up until, last year, we're, separated now. So we live in different homes. So I think about their process and what they're going through now, and how that dynamic is so different. And I'd never try to talk negatively about my ex in front of my kids, because I do know what that does. Because I can recall times like my mom might be frustrated with my dad. She had me when she was 21, So people just try to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I do remember, like, I'm like, oh, I don't want you to talk, because eventually you'll hear it.
Yeah.
You're like, that's enough on
Right.
him.
Yeah.
Cool on him.
Right.
Don't talk about my daddy. So,
Exactly.
I try not to do that, but I can't also I can't dictate what he does. I can't control what he does when I'm not there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it presents different. I might notice a little bit more back talk or certain things. So I don't know. I can ask, like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, can you please make sure you're not making me seem like I'm negative around my kids, because I want them to have that respect for me.
Mm-hmm.
So at what point, I guess my question is, can you change that shit? Can you change that dynamic? Does it come down to just communication with the parents?
What do you mean by changing it? With
Because if it
not
is,
knowing what's happening in the other house? Okay, so with that, you changing wouldn't be your responsibility. It would have to be on his. What you can do is communicate what you notice. So that's when the girls come back home with you, is asking questions like, what was time like? Making space for them to describe what time was like, what they're noticing, what's being shared. But you also can pick up on little cues that when they come home, there may be some reorienting to the household, some routine adjustments to the household you have to
boundary,
do.
yeah, pushing.
All of that, because
Mhm.
what was happening at dad's house looked differently.
Yeah.
So in those cases where you find out there's a difference in a shift between Sunday night to Monday or whatever your dynamic is, then you bring those things to dad's attention.
Sure.
Not so much from the pressure of you need to change this, don't do this, but I'm noticing this. And it would be helpful for this for both of us and for the sake of the children.
Okay.
Not from the perspective of they have to change, but from the perspective of here's what I'm noticing about our kids, and this is what probably would be helpful if you could. I'm not assuming that you are, but this is how they're responding to me, and what's giving me the impression that perhaps there are comments that are being said about me in their presence. You can say what you want. Please go blow it up to whoever you got. Go to the cigar lounge with all your boys and tear me up. But for the sake of our children, I make sure that how I present to you looks like this.
Mhm.
I would like the same mutual respect, because the kids are going to show, whether in words or body language,
Yeah.
what's happening in
Yeah.
the different households.
Yeah, they do.
Mm.
They
It does
definitely do.
affect
As
them either
someone
way.
whose parents were separated when we were pretty young, you definitely pick up on
Mhm.
the actions and then you make an adjustment
Yep.
because, like you said, you absorb the information, especially as your kids are getting older. Their comprehension of what actually is going on, it heightens. And
Yeah.
you actually really know what's going
Yeah,
on.
and it could be confusing for the kids because they
all
do
new.
have to show up a different way at dad's house than at mom's house. There are different rules, and you try to create the balance of them being the same, but you guys aren't the same people. And I would imagine even when you were living at home, daddy's style of parenting, mommy's style of parenting looked a little different.
Completely different.
And so now that you're in different households, it's like, so think about what that's like for the kid.
Mhm.
I have to show up one way at dad's, I got to show up one way at mom's. How can they show up? And then they get to school, and prayerfully this doesn't happen for your children, where then it's a whole different behavior change. Academically, things can be adjusted because I have to be different people in different spaces, but who am I trying to be?
And that's
Yeah.
overwhelming.
So if you could too, get them into therapy too, because this
Yeah,
is
definitely.
therapy is also for transition. A lot of times
Oh,
people
yeah.
think it's a diagnosis of anxiety. If you're going through any life transition,
Yeah.
that's a space for you to be able to navigate and share and figure out what's working for me and communicate your needs.
Yeah.
I love
It's
that.
funny. I just took my daughter. Like I get to be the fun.
You're a fun parent.
But I've always had that title, and I'm okay with that.
Mhm.
So I don't let people weaponize it against me. I'm fine with that. And I took my daughters to eat, and I was just having a conversation with my oldest. I'm like, "How's everything? How do you feel about mommy and daddy not being together?" Like, I don't think I've ever had that conversation
That's
with her.
good.
And she said, "I like it."
She told me that too.
I was like, "You like the fact that we're not together?" And she said, "Yeah." She said, "I think it's better this way." And I was like, "Oh."
Mm-hmm.
Like, we probably should have did this a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy because I told you that because
Yeah.
I was like, I'm a kid whose parents separated,
Yeah.
and kids really know.
They
And
know
that was
enough.
my
Wake
next
up.
question to you. While I say this point, I was gonna ask you in your opinion, how do you feel like kids absorb information? But I was gonna say like we knew, and even when your kids came over, I asked them like, hey, how do you guys feel about? And she said that to me. She's like, oh, I'm happy. I think it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I told you, like, wow. I'm like, I told you, kids be knowing. When people
Yeah.
like, we're staying for them kids be knowing. Like, when my parents went their separate ways, I'm like, granted, it's sad at some point, but I'm like, also you're like, yeah, that was probably for the best. Kids
Yeah.
see when you're fighting. Kids see when there's tension.
Yeah.
Kids see when you pretending like y'all ain't just cuss each other out, but we at the place and it's tight. Like you don't gotta be. I was told you I was in elementary school. It's not like I was 12, 13. I
Yeah.
was your kid's
My
age.
kid's age.
My
Yeah.
sister was in kindergarten and
Yeah.
I was in third or fourth grade.
Yeah.
So it's
The
like
same
we
age
stage
group.
age, and I was like,
Mhm.
we knew, and we'd be like them. Oh, we're happy to go to daddy's house. It's fun. It's
Yeah.
different. And yeah, you miss that dynamic. And when they did get back together, we were happier. We were happy that they did. But it's like when they weren't, we weren't like, oh my God, we were just like them. Like it was for the best. It
Yeah.
was a lot of tension in the home. It was a lot of fighting. We're well aware of that.
Yeah.
Still at my grown age, we can both sit and talk about it. And they're your kids' age. Like we vividly remember fights. So it's kind of like the house is so much peaceful. You know, your mom's different. Maybe she's sad because it's a different transition, but it's a, you're aware of that and you're like, oh, it's less tension.
Yeah.
So I think that it's helpful. But I was going to ask, how do you think kids absorb information?
Oh, absolutely. And what you're talking about in terms is children look for, as do we as adults, but it shows up differently, emotional safety and security. And the reason why kids, when they know when things aren't right in the home, and especially if they're siblings, they're all, we can't make mistakes. Mommy and daddy might fight. We can't do this. They're trying to course correct themselves to adjust to your chaotic or non chaotic energy. And so what they're seeking is emotional safety and security. So separating looks like, it feels more safe now. We feel more secure now. They can be at ease. They're not worrying about if something's going to tick one of you guys off and then they have to receive the blowback and whatever the emotional reaction to that is because they feel safe and secure. Kids know about life based upon what you show them. A lot of times I say to my friends and they're like, my broke best friend, these kids are spoiled. They don't know about going out to eat, going on trips every year. You expose that to them.
Sure.
So what you expose
That's why I
them
can't
to,
complain.
yeah, what you expose
what
them
they
to
expect
is what
now.
they expect, what they
Right.
get used to, the good and the bad.
Sure.
So be mindful what you're exposing your children to, because then they become either used to it, and if time allows and you get into early adolescent adulthood, then you create again because you're modeling. You're showing them how to communicate. You're showing them how to create interpersonal connections. You're showing them how to fight and argue. You're showing them how to deal with distress challenges, how a good day is, how a bad day. You're showing your actions. So if they're in an atmosphere where things are all over the place, but then when they separate, this is peace, that's fine. You're not breaking these kids' heart because you're creating emotional security. A lot of times parents stay together because I'm going to break their heart. You breaking their heart every day y'all coming and y'all fighting.
Yes.
Facts.
That's breaking their heart. Kids get used to what you show them. So if you're showing them and mom and dad can coexist and it's okay to live separately,
Yeah.
and that's for safety and security, that's okay. Kids learn by modeling. Kids learn by emotional reaction. So testing people, parents like they're testing limits. They're testing your emotional reaction
Right.
to understand where their levels of safety. They're trying to also learn the boundaries, what's okay, what's not okay behavior.
Sure.
So they're not trying to piss you off. They're trying to learn. They don't know,
Right.
what's good, what's bad. They're learning from you. They don't come with a manual, just like you don't.
Right.
So through the observation and the modeling, through the emotional reaction, and then with the types of attachment. So attachment style, a secure attached parent, insecure attached parent, avoidant parent, an anxious parent, a disorganized parents. Understanding how you show up too is how they then learn the dynamic in the relationship. Can I come to you? Sharda, you shared about knowing that you could go to more or less your dad for emotional things, and mom kind of ran more of the what to do, how to do dynamic. Recognizing who I can go to. You would like to have parents to be able to do both, but because of the parents, their own background and understanding, they may not be able to provide both.
Yeah.
But knowing who to go to and where security looks like, or having to raise in a household where I can't go to anybody. What does that look like for a child?
Yeah.
And I think that I will say I'm blessed I was able to do both. It's just
For certain things, you have to decide.
Yeah, for certain things. And most people are not, because that I'm finding, especially in adulthood, everyone doesn't have those safety and security spaces that you said.
Yep.
And speaking of adulthood, going into our next segment, how do you transition your needs and wants, like from a child to now your big age? Like I said, your parenting in that childhood structure is very prominent in your adulthood.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm gonna dodge the question back to y'all before I kind of go
Okay.
into six. What do you guys notice about how you may need your parents differently as adults, as women? You as having a child, you as an adult woman navigating life. How do you need your parents differently?
How do we like
Mm.
my mom versus my dad?
Or no, just your parents, period. When you think of your parents as now as an adult and a parent yourself, how do you need them differently
Hmm.
than you did as a
Yeah.
young adult or a
So
child?
so I would say now that I have children, I need my parents a lot, especially now that I am, running the show. When I have my kids, it's me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not used to that. I'm used to having a partner.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this transition, I've really leaned on them as my support here. And I'm blessed that my parents are local. I mean, they're like a half an hour away, but if I didn't have that, I don't know what I would do. I don't know what people do in this world because you can't trust everybody with your kids.
Um,
So I depend on them a lot for that. And then also, I do try to call them and tell them how I'm feeling, but I also understand capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I can tell when they can take it.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell. But most people can take it.
please. We ain't gonna go there. I told you PCP on Georgia Ave. But my parents, I think I lean on them more. Um, I don't know, maybe a little bit emotionally because I think, as someone who's just so hyper independent and sometimes I just need that safety and security. I yearn that. Like you said, you yearned it as a kid, as a child, and I think as an adult, sometimes I just need that. Like I just need to be like, oh, everything's gonna be all right, or or just to call someone and I don't even have to say anything. Like my mom can call me and she be like, "What's wrong with you?" "Oh, I'm good." "You're not good. Your voice sound different." And it's just refreshing. Like, oh, I don't really gotta go into everything, and I don't even have to explain everything to her. It's just like I just sometimes I need someone that is emotionally in tune with me. So I really respect that, especially me and my mom's relationship, because of course we talk every day. And then so I just feel like sometimes you just need that. I feel like my parents are like a breath of fresh air. So I feel like I need that when life is life and then being an adult is very hard. So sometimes you just need, like you said, I feel like I yearn that safety and security sometimes because I have to show up as the big person all the time. And so sometimes when you just reach your parents, you could be a kid again. They're like, "What do you need?"
Mm-hmm.
I'm grown. I'm damn near 40. But if I go home and I'm sick, my mom's going to get up and make me some tea. My dad's going to, "How you doing, babe?
Yeah.
Like, how's the weather?" I can still call him if I'm at the car lot and they trying to play with me. "Hey, can you do that?" And I'm like, that's still, it's like that childlike feeling. So sometimes I just need that because I feel like being an adult is very overwhelming.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So what you guys are speaking to is, I don't know if you guys have heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Any of my clients you end up watching, that's a practice we do all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because if you're not clear about what you need, you can't articulate it. And I
Mm-hmm.
often say unmet needs come from unspoken
Mm-hmm.
needs. If you don't speak up for what you want, how are people to know what you need?
Mm.
Say it,
Mm-hmm.
speak it, articulate it. So what's different about as we grow, and particularly between the ages of 18 to 39, so we're in the cusp of that. I'm 25. But we recognize how and what we need, and the basis of it is often love, belonging, reassurance.
Mm.
We don't really differentiate from those basic levels of needs. Basic levels actually are like food, water, nourishment, but at these stages we could get them for ourselves. But the emotional capacity of our needs are usually the same. We don't really differ too much from that. And as you guys are pointing out, independency and reassurance, that overall basis of love. And love is one of the needs that Erickson's psychosocial stages say that at the stage of 18 to 39, we're looking for love, not just in what we got in our home, but those people around us and what it looks like. Is how you need them is differently. You still need them for love and belonging and connection, but how you need them. Now you need them as support to navigate with this transition in life. Now you need them to provide you with the back and the reassurance, their encouragement. You don't necessarily need to say, "Mom, fix this for me, figure this out for me, pay a bill," anything like that. I just need the encouragement. I need the warmth. So a lot of the times our needs stay the same even as we become adults. It's how we need them looks differently.
Sure.
I don't need you to come, Mom, and tuck me in the bed, but I do need to hear your voice to have that reminder that I'm good and I do well in the world.
Mm.
And a few weeks ago, Sade mentioned that I do need reassurance. And I was thinking about that. I was like, sometimes I like when my mom, like, I'll tell her, like, I'll give her the rundown of what I did with the kids just for her to be like, okay, that was good. And if I don't get that or she challenges it, I get defensive because I'm like, well, I didn't need you to tell me,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, Maisha, maybe And you said that, and I was like, man, I didn't think I was.
I think
But
you don't think it, because I didn't think it, because I think
but that reassurance,
it feels good.
it does feel good.
And it feels good from people that you
Respect.
value and respect. And you don't think you need it, because and me and you have even talked about it. I'm like, I never knew I needed reassurance until I wasn't getting it.
Yes.
Until I was in relationships, and I was like,
Yeah.
you don't like me. You don't. And I'm like, why is it? I'm not like that. I'm confident. But I'm like, it feels good for someone, like you said.
Yeah.
You like, I did this. And they're like, you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
You're a great mom.
Yeah.
Clearly, you know you're a great mom. But I can call my mom right now and say, you're a great mom. She's going to boohoo crying. Even though I'm sure she knows that. But it's like, to hear that from your child,
Yeah.
or you love somebody, like, dang, I just thought about you today. I know you've been doing your thing. I'm real proud of you. That takes nothing, but it feels so good, especially if it's someone you value. And I think, like you said, being that hierarchy as I get older, I just be really needing to hear that sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you can only do so much for yourself with that mentally, but then to hear that from people that you value and honor, even at this big age, and especially your parents, because they raised you and they put the foundation. So for your parents to be like, I'm proud of you. Like, you've been killing it. You like, oh, shit.
That's my dad often. He's like,
Yeah,
you
he's
know
so
what, Bunny
sweet.
Rabbit? Like,
So sweet.
I'm so proud of you. I love you. Like, nothing's going to break you. Like, he's always been that. I feel like my mom is like that a little, but my dad has always been like,
I think
my
that's
biggest
daddies,
cheerleader.
because daddies are like, I always tell my mom, like, my dad be bragging.
Yeah.
And he's like, why not? And
Your mom does too, though.
she do, but she not like my dad.
How she expresses it.
Yeah,
maybe
they
gets
express it.
different.
I mean, even today when you were talking to her on the phone, she was like, yeah, because my daughter's a doctor. Like, your mother is proud.
There's pride
Absolutely.
there.
Absolutely.
She's so proud.
And I'm glad that we give them that. I'm proud
Absolutely.
that we can make them.
Because all of the sacrifice, it makes sense now.
Yeah.
So it's rewarding because you like, I poured, like you talk about the overflow. I might not have had my shit together all the time, but look what I provided. So I did what I could do so my kids could fly.
Absolutely. So so they can fly and they know they can. You guys learned that you can because of the types of parents and the secure emotional spaces that they allow. Your parents may not have always gotten it right, because guess what? It was their first time too.
Absolutely.
It was their first time being a parent. Charlotte, you being the oldest. I'm not sure if are you the oldest?
So I have, from my mom and my dad, yes.
Okay.
He has 2 older daughters, but
okay, but still having to do the first time with you and with your mom. This is their first time too. They're not always going to get it right. But what's important is you guys recognizing and being blessed to know that you can go to them to get what you need.
Yeah.
Not everybody has that.
Yeah.
So in the recognizing of the people that may be listening who are like, well, I can't go and get reassurance. I can't go and get love and that safe space. And that's heartbreaking and that's difficult to do. But as you shared before of knowing community is recognizing that you may not be able to get into the person that brought you into this world, but recognizing where are your safe spaces where you can get that. And unfortunately, there may be times where you will have to accept that my parent isn't my safe space.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
I'm glad that I don't have that, but it's a lot of people that do. But how do you quickly, how do we transition? How do you deal with, like, we're in different generations from our parents. So we talk about here about mental health, we talk about therapy, the way we move in life. Like, clearly I just get up and go. I move places, I go travel, and that's just not always our parents' structure. So how do you deal with, like, as you're growing as an adult, but you're in a different generation from your family and they might not understand that?
Yeah. So the recognizing that there is a difference in generations and access is different. So even us talking about confidently about therapy, like I was so proud of my mom a couple of weeks ago. She was talking to a friend of hers at her age who was talking about how she experienced a bunch of losses and she was grieving. And my mom said to her, do you think you might be depressed? And her friend looked at her and was like, oh, I don't know. Like, and my mom was like, because you're talking about sadness. And then she was like, maybe you should go talk to therapy. And I felt like a proud little therapist kid. And I was like, go ahead, mama. Because even as I've gone through going into the field and all of that, my mama was like, I'm proud of you. I want you to do that, but that ain't for me. And I'm like, well, mama, what? And my dad's a preacher. And so and he got his degree in social work. So part of what he did was he would move into the spaces of Jesus and therapy, but it also wasn't accepted. So like our generation, we can talk about therapy. We're talking about our nervous system. We're talking about mindfulness and yoga and coping. And the older generation, like, what is y'all talking about? You just go to your homegirl house and y'all play dominoes and we go to the casino and do things like that. But what we're not recognizing is how they did it and how we did it. We're doing the same things, reaching for opportunities to cope. So it's understanding that understanding and respecting that how we seek peace in our lives will look differently, and what's important to us will look differently, and just having the respect that, okay, well, this is what works for me, this is what works for them. They're not going to understand. They were raised in a generation where you had to keep things all in and keep things quiet. And we're learning that doing that, and as medical professionals, creates lots of stress. And so why we're seeing high blood pressure and high risk, and why we're seeing cancer and all those types of things, is because they didn't have the outlet of space. So we're choosing to do things differently. The past generations always didn't have a choice to do that. And we have to embrace and recognize we now have choices to access that they didn't have. And so we have to not be as critical about, well, why y'all not wanting to change? They weren't given the space.
And
change is hard.
Change is very
because
hard.
even though, we all go to therapy, I talk to my mom about therapy, and she's like, oh, well, she doesn't say I shouldn't do it, but I'm like, yeah, you should give it a try sometimes.
It takes heart. My mom will tell you
I don't think she
I cried
may not
to
be
her to
ready
go to
yet.
therapy for over a decade. And now she goes and she loves it. And she's like, well, you didn't give up because you was on me. And I'm like, I recognize the traumas that you have because I have went to therapy. But like you said, when someone's not ready, they're not ready. And you just have to accept that.
And I also know how I'm aware of how it can come off.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
Just
oh,
'cause
you start doing something like, oh, so now you think you got your little degree.
You
Now
know
everybody gotta go
everything.
get therapy.
Yeah, no.
Mhm.
But I don't want it to come off like I'm telling you to do this thing because now I'm here.
Right.
I'm just recognizing, like, for me, therapy is super difficult to sit through. When I leave therapy, I need a fucking nap because it takes so much out of me. But I do realize that's where growth happens.
Mm-hmm. And so it's tone too.
Yeah.
Be clear about your intention in sharing and trying to encourage somebody to go into something like therapy or try something new. Like, why don't you try yoga? Why don't you try this new juice plan? And I mean, Sade trying to tell me to exercise for longer. I did for a good year, friend. I did work out. Be proud of me.
Sade got her own thing
But
going on with that.
she had to know like how and when to approach. Why would it be beneficial? So it's being clear, especially with our parents and older generation, is be clear about your tone and your intention of sharing.
Yeah.
Recognizing that they don't always have the space to do it. There's identity crisis that's happening too with the ages between 50 and 65 where they're changing. Where also their roles in our lives are changing. Where while we still need them, how we need them is different. So growing up, they were our guides of how to navigate life. Now they're more like consultants. We get to share with them what's happening. They get to provide suggestions, but we don't have to listen.
And
that's
they need
difficult.
you more.
They also need us. So then they're in that space of like, my child needs me less and I need them more.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
That creates their own level of identity of stress of like, well, who's in charge? Because I'm raising a 71-year-old going on 17. She gonna hate that I said that because she loves y'all. She's a fan.
Shout out to Mama
She
Deshaun.
watches. She tells the people she be in. I'll be like, can you wait for me? No, you're taking too long.
I
But
love my girl.
I have to recognize too that like, hey, mom, and she doesn't always let me help her. And it's like, but mom, you are getting older, and my sassy 71, and she be 71 this coming week, and it's like, but mom, allow me to help you. I'm not trying to take any autonomy from you, but I'm here. You are getting older, and that idea of getting older too is difficult for them. So we have to be patient and understanding of what that looks
What
like
they're going through.
as well. But she ain't a normal 71 because baby be outside, and I don't be catching up. But then when we be outside, I'll be like, all right, we gotta go home.
Yeah, no, my mom's like that too. I get so mad, but she's like, "You're not my goddamn mama." Well, Vivian, if you're listening, I got my eye on you.
But the
forever.
roles reversed. Think about it. They were changing us and our diapers, and there may come a time where and I had to witness that when my dad was dying, and that recognizing that caregiver role of like, oh. And while it was so soon, I was only 25 when my dad died. But recognize like I have to help him. And he didn't want that. He said to my mom, don't let Chris help when it comes to like if I have to go to the bathroom and stuff like that. Like if she has to help feed me and things like that. But that is difficult too because they have to relinquish parts of their identity and what makes them whole.
Yeah.
And we have to give them the grace and the space and be patient.
I think that is hard for me, but working on it. But we have to come to wrap things up. I have so many more questions, but we be getting put out of here. I wanted us very quickly, and then I want you to give a health tip. Like, I guess we don't really have time to explain, but what are 3 things you would say you wish that your parents understood about you?
Ooh, what I wish that my parents understood about me was that I needed to be asked. I think similar to what you said about maturing, we moved around a lot, and my parents didn't really, they assumed I was okay. And I didn't know that I can speak up and say, I'm not okay and I don't feel okay, and moving and finding new friends. I wish they did ask me more if I was okay. I did feel like I gave off, and I think because as a preacher's kid, there's an air that you're expected, but I do wish they would have asked more like, are you okay, Chris? No, I know I don't have a say on if we're moving and what's happening, but I wish they understood to at least ask me if I was okay and how I was feeling about it. So when I do work now with parents, I talk to them more about like ask your kids how they're feeling in this transition, give them the space, but that also allows them to ask themselves, well, how am I feeling?
Yeah.
And the importance of that. And actually, by the way of speaking to that, y'all, I created a feelings coloring book.
Oh, look at
All right,
that.
to
I
help
love that.
kids and parents talk about emotions. It's called My Feelings World. We got a little
Look at
girl on
her,
the
I'm
back.
so
Yes.
proud.
So it will be available in March on Amazon. So you
I
can look
gotta
it
get
up.
it.
Kristin Justice, My Feelings World.
Okay.
And it's a workbook that helps parents and children talk about their feelings, and you can sit and collaborate with them and ask them, and they can tell you in their body, because that's a lot of things too. We feel our emotions in our body and we don't know, we're not aware. So
Right.
helping kids too to recognize when I'm feeling nervous, my stomach hurts, or I have a headache, or I feel nervousness. So the coloring book is fun and interactive, but it helps you to talk to your kids about your feelings and their feelings.
I'm not walking, I'm running. I'm
Yeah.
excited. I
We're
need
gonna
to
Yes,
we're definitely
please.
gonna put
Yes,
the
if we
link
can
in.
drop the link.
Yes,
in
I'll
this
definitely
We
share it.
definitely,
For sure.
we'll put it in the bio when the episodes drops,
Okay.
which will be in March, and you can do that. What's your one thing?
The one thing
You
is
just say
that
one.
so for the parents, I would say ask me the question again.
What do you wish your parents would understood?
I wish my parents would have similar what you said, but also let us communicate more. Not to just stay in a child's place was like crazy to me because as you can understand, like we're all humans. So just let me talk more. I think a part of what I went through as I gotten older is like I just needed to find my voice. So just giving me that autonomy to really vocalize things more, it would have helped me out tremendously.
Yeah, I think um that's probably mine too. Like, just don't assume just because I present that I'm okay. Um, just give me that space to allow my emotions to be heard, because I feel like as an adult, that is something I really struggle with, is allowing my emotions to be heard, and it all stems from childhood, because even though I felt like it was a safe space, I didn't always feel comfortable sharing my emotions because I was like the low maintenance kid, that the time wasn't taken to really explore like how I'm really feeling. So a lot of my emotions I suppressed, and then I think as you get older, that is very hard to unwind.
And it shows
It's
up
hard to unlearn.
and it shows up at the craziest time.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And it shows up in different relationships.
yeah.
For
Well,
sure.
are your relationship with your parents your very first relationships?
Yeah.
So how they make space and show you how to relationship, you do mimic in later, especially if things are unresolved and you didn't have a time to address them.
And that is why I have to make sure we turn this bus and make sure this bus is driving in the right direction.
Yes. And I think that'll be great for your kids too, especially during this transition. And I told
Yes, it's
her
for
that.
ages 4 to 8, but it could be for older kids as well.
Yeah.
What's your quick health tip, my girl?
Quick health tips. So be co-regulation and self-care. So we often talk about regulating ourselves, but particularly with parents, co-regulation is helpful and important because it helps kids get on their same level. So you tell them to go take space and breathe, do it with them. Hold their hands, make eye contact with them, get on their level. Let them also know when you are going, hey, mommy's taking time to regulate, because then that becomes a part of routine that know that's okay, to save space, to find. And regulation looks like breathing, taking a moment, going to color, going to take a shower, going to do some type of breath work, even in public. Have a code word with your kids. When they're having a hard time, that they can say mushrooms, and I need a few minutes.
Okay.
We need to move to the side. And that could be like a cute thing that you guys have too.
Yeah.
The other thing I would encourage is to be mindful of oversharing, and that's even for adult parents too.
Okay.
Make sure you have designated where you have other people to talk to. Your kids are going to, especially adult kids too, they want to take care of you, but there are some things that you also need to keep for your friends, so they don't also feel the burden and have compassion fatigue as they take care of you. Also, be open to apologizing.
100%.
Yes.
Say I'm sorry to your kids. That is so powerful. When I work with adult clients and still at 42 and 62, they still want to hear, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Be open to apologize to you. It doesn't mean you did wrong. You're recognizing that you missed it in the moment. And that gives them permission to make a mistake too.
My child will check me. She'll
Yeah,
be like,
and
Mommy, say sorry.
yes,
Yes.
do
Say
that.
sorry about this.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Do that. And the last thing that I would say in terms of that too is be okay with saying I don't know. It allows them to be curious as well. To say I don't know, but we can find out
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
together.
Yeah.
I love that. Those
That
were
was
all
really
great
good.
tips.
The co-regulate, yeah.
Yes, and I think that especially during your transition, a lot of these things
I told her, just give me the information. I mean, just give me your information.
You can definitely absorb. Another great episode again. Thank you so
This
much.
is really good.
We could have kept going and going.
Oh, I forgot to share my socials, how they could reach me.
Yes.
Connect with
please.
Chris on Instagram. That's my professional website, and it's information on especially grief and loss too. That's a heavy spot. So connect with Chris.
And we will
LSC.
put that on on the episode as well and in our description. So to close out our episode today with the Dizzle devotion, we're gonna go to Exodus 35:1, and it says, "And he has filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, with understanding, with knowledge, and with all kinds of skills." So today we discuss being understood and understanding, especially as it relates to those who set the primary foundation for the people that we are, our parents. Oftentimes in life we feel misunderstood even by those who are responsible for our creation. But as the scripture points out, we are filled with the Spirit of God, and he gives us wisdom and understanding accompanied by knowledge. Through these things, we are capable of all things, and our reach is limitless. We all deserve grace in the presence of misunderstanding, and even when no one else hears you or understands you, rest assured that God does. God has filled you with his Spirit, and he is one of the ultimate wisdom. He truly knows your heart. Trust him to fill you up, and do not grow weary in moments of letdown. You know, with God in your spirit and discernment in your aura, you will accomplish great things beyond even your own understanding. God, I pray for the person listening who may feel misunderstood, maybe by their parents, maybe by their peers, or even by them own selves. Understand you have filled them with your spirit, and your spirit is one of certainty and cadence. You are truly the living word. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 She did it again. And I just want to say thank you for joining us today. It was a pleasure having you.
Yes, friend.
Honestly, could have talked to you for hours.
Thanks
Yes,
for I'm so excited to be
yes,
with you
and
guys.
get that book. We putting the book out.
Yes, my feelings, girl.
I wish I could get a copy today, but I'm a patient person.
It'll be
I'm
out
definitely gonna
soon.
purchase it. I promise you.
Thank you, ladies, for creating space for us. You guys, I'm so proud of the work that you guys have done. So thank you.
And you are day one.
Yes.
You are day one. So we appreciate you. And until next time, we want you guys to stay healthy, curious, but most of all, be inspired. And remember, we always ask others how they're doing, but don't forget to check in with how you doing.
See you next
Bye.
time. Bye. Great, friend. You did good.